Hello guys, Eggnot Poker here, and today I'm going to teach you how to become the ultimate winner at poker. All you have to do is follow 86 tips. That's a lot of tips. Just to get the bullshit out of the way for 1 second. How many videos have you seen recently about poker? Well, all you have to do is 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 things, and all of a sudden you'll become the best player of all time. How many clickbaits are there out there right now? There's a lot. So I thought I'd do an interesting video today. I thought I'd mix and match a bit of theory and then also do it with a massive piss take to all the clickbait title videos with all the secret formulas. I thought I'd create one of my own. So in under 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you every single tip I've thought of that I think is going to make you the best player in the world. No bullshit. Let's go straight in. Spend thousands of hours studying solvers and aggregated CBET reports. If you aren't a winner in poker, admit it, go study with others, or go get coaching. Admitting you're a losing player is the first step towards becoming a winning one. Adopt a more aggressive overall, but also a much more exaggerated, polarized 3-bet and 4-bet strategy versus tighter players. Get more weaker and stronger hands in your 3-bet ranges against nits. Stop being 4-bet. Stop putting yourself in tough spots. Keep the SPR wide. Just beat them up in position. Adopt more flats in a linear range against 3-bets. Adopt more flats with a linear 3-bet range even, and widen your range against nits and stop them folding or 4-betting against you. Abuse the overfolders. How can you get an edge on a nit if you're all in pre, without the worst of it all the time? If you're getting it all in every single time with queens, jacks, ace, king, tens, and the bastard keeps showing you kings and aces, you should probably stop calling all in. The deeper you go, the wider you can start playing versus raises. Versus a recreational player, bet bigger and more consistently, do not trap them. Stop letting people have all the fun. Play back. Check raise underpairs in 3-bet pots, deuces through to 7s. Use them as your bluffs, especially on high boards. Check raise hands with backdoor equity. Check raise hands that have types of flow on the turns and rivers. Don't literally just check call and try and improve on turns. Check raise strong top pairs more for value. Check raise more bottom pairs on flops. Check deceptively multiple streets and then raise huge later down the line. Technically, some hands will want to c-bet as little as 1 big blind. So don't think that you always just have to bet a third or half on every single hand that you play. Open and 3-bet more suited ace, king, and queen X blocker combos. Get those queen 5 suiteds in there. Get those king 6 offsuit, king 6 suiteds. Stop only opening really strong hands and connectors. Start opening baby pairs and connectors more often in early position, especially in tighter games. Stop calling 3-bets pure with them as well. Stop over c-betting and actually find a check. Sometimes a hand can be played slowly. Protect your range. Bluffing the river? Sometimes betting small is all that's required. Bluffing the river? Consider a large size or an overbet in a polarized spot. If you flop a decent pair in a 4-bet pot, you're probably just going to have to go with it. Stop raising your 3-bet sizes in the blinds. Start raising these fucking blinds. Be really, really aggressive. Really large polarized sizes in the blinds. Open wider means you can open smaller. Open tighter means you have to open a little bit larger. Start considering rake as a huge part of your strategy. Generally, 3-betting 2.5 to 3x in position and 4-betting 2.1 to 2.5x in position, depending on stack sizes and position. Also, 3-betting 4 to 6 times out of position and roughly 3x out of position, depending on stack sizes and positions, of course. If you have a range advantage, considering c-betting more often. Respect showdown value of strong ace and king high holdings. In a lot of spots, it doesn't want to bet as often as you think it does because you're just ahead. Why are you turning the best of your showdown range into a bluff from the off? It just makes no sense. Check more and let aggro tards do it in. It works ridiculously large amounts. Just let them implode. Give them the chance. Why hang someone when it takes 10 minutes to do it when they can just do it for you? A little bit dark, but true. They c-bet every flop, so check raise more. Double check raise more. Blast people off chops, especially if you have a range advantage. Simply checking and expecting to chop is unacceptable. Overbetting nut advantage more often. Checking more flops, turns and rivers in all spots. Remember guys, check isn't weakness, it's simply just an option. Checking is something like in volleyball where someone throws the ball up, sets the next person to go for the nuke. That's your strategic setup. Check means check guys, check isn't weakness. Don't give up your aggressive lines. If you check raise a backdoor equity and improve equity, or your range improves, or if you're representing a good hand, keep going. Don't give up on them. If they always have it, pay less. If they always bluff, pay more. If they always call, have it more. If they always fold, have it less. Want to bluff in a polarized spot? Consider the biggest size possible. If a 10x pot is available and useful and is something to think about, then put it in there. Generally, the more polarized you are, the larger your sizes can be. You would be surprised how many sizes and how large you can go when you're pushing that fold equity or trying to get the maximum value. Consider check raising as a semi-bluff more on turns with huge combo equity that can generate fold equity. This is something that some people don't appreciate. Fold equity adds your expected value. If people are going to over bluff us on top of that, that means you can then bin them on top. Really, really good. Why do you have to make a hand to win when you can simply use that as plan B? Nut showdown with nut flush draws can absolutely just check call on turns as well. They don't have to check raise, they don't have to nuke. If it's a dodgy turn you want to check and you face a bet from villain, call, realize, improve. Don't just feel like you have to stick it in or fold. Raising flops and turns more often with blockers to villain's value range, especially in 3-bet pots. Be more aggressive. Check loads out of position when flattered in position, such as small blind or early position opens. Check isn't always weakness, remember. Protected check calls and protected check raises are very, very powerful. Start considering your bet sizes. Why blast huge on super wet boards with one pair when you can just get binned? Always be thinking about what's going to come next. What am I trying to get value from? What am I trying to make? What am I trying to make fold? What's going to happen on later streets? How strong is my hand? How much value or how much bluff equity do I think I should attain from this hand? The smaller you bet, the wider you should expect to get called. Consider this when value betting or bluffing on later streets. The larger you bet, the tighter you're expecting to get called. So again, consider this when value betting or bluffing later streets. If you've nuked pre-flop, you've nuked the flop, nuked the turn, and you're considering over bluffing the river, be careful because you've bottlenecked your opponent's range to really, really polarized hands. Be careful. Start donking flops and turns for 20 to 30% on textures that support your range. Protect your donks, even if it just means sometimes having to bet and 3-bet bluff with a hand that has no equity. Sometimes you just have to go with it. Remember, a calling range is always more condensed than an opening range. The guy putting the money in doesn't technically have a nut advantage all the time. The guy calling the bets is the guy that has more of a naturally condensed and more truthful range. That's how you should see it. Protect all of these donks as well, okay? More aggression in the small blind versus all positions. More aggression in the big blind versus all positions. These blinds are fucking turrets. Use them. Power. More 4-bets pre-flop. This is for all stakes. A lot of your opening ranges prefer to 4-bet rather than just constantly flat out of position. You open King Jack, King Queen, Ace 10 suited, Ace Queen offsuit under the gun and get 3-bet from most positions. Most of the time you're going to be 4-betting, in theory. Adapt to your tables. Abuse the nits and do not pay them. Adapt to your tables and preemptively decide what hands you want to open and defend and how you want to defend them versus aggressive opponents behind you. For the love of God, have bankroll management and stick to it, guys. A minimum of 20 buy-ins per table per game. If you go broke, it's your fault. Give up on rivers more if necessary. With high showdown value, bluffs are not so good when your opponent's river range is expected to be strong. If you've been blasting and you've got nut showdown value, it's probably not the best candidate to use for a bluff in most cases, except some specific spots, because your opponent's range is going to be very strong because you bottleneck them, and you want to be using more bottom of range or nut blockers that are being used, say for example under the gun versus small blind in a 4 or 5 bet scenario. Very specific. Give up on rivers less when you have bottom of your showdown range. If you have something like 5 high, it's probably going to be more useful to bluff with that than it is with ace high. Remember guys, you need these bluffs in order to become profitable players if you start considering mid to high stakes. It's absolutely okay to 3-bet, 4-bet, and sometimes 5-bet and fold to shove. Okay? Bluffs are okay. Folds are okay. Generally, c-betting larger or overbetting is effective versus a big blind in later positions. Checking isn't weakness, remember? Protect these checks. We've mentioned that one. Betting and raising isn't always strength. Protect your bets as well as your checks. If you always get to the river when you're overbetting with a bluff, you need to consider that. Stop letting aggressive 3-betters run you over. Fight back with 4-bets and or open tighter preemptively. Seek more thin value on all streets where possible, including hands like third pair. That's a really, really strong part of winning in the long term, is just generating that little bit of extra value in every single hand that you play. Massive difference. When tight, capped, and or passive players show weakness, jump on it. Start barreling and river jamming nut blockers. If you've got the nut flush blocker, it's really, really powerful to use as a bluff when that flush comes in. Turn more marginal hands into bluffs. Turn them into river raises. Turn them into turn check raises. Don't just always check call with a weak marginal position, hand out of position and just allow your opponent to run you down. They're going to bluff you. They're going to value own you. Find some common ground where you can fight back. Go after small c-bets and raise them more often. And then also on the flip side, respect the larger bets. You're more likely to raise and more incentivized to raise against small c-bets rather than the big ones, most of the time. Dry board, generally, we're going to be c-betting smaller. Wet board, generally, we're going to be c-betting a little bit bigger. Start considering range versus range when making an action or decision process. Start considering what kind of range your villain's going to call you with when you're value betting. Start considering what you're trying to make fold before you bluff. Start considering how your villain's range might have changed by the turn river based on previous action before you consider any kind of value betting or bluffing. Try and think about what you're trying to get called by and what you're trying to make fold. Paired boards generally bet larger, depending on the single raise 3-bet or 4-bet pot and positions. Paired boards with a nut advantage can do some small betting if desired. Nut advantage mostly bets small with range. Nut advantage can do more overbetting. When you don't have a nut advantage, generally you're going to be betting small or checking. When you do have a nut advantage, you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. Adjust your strategy to your villain's ability levels and tendencies. Adapt. Be a chameleon. If your guys are nit, if your guys are aggressive players, adapt and change to it. Don't just do a robotic, straightforward ABC strategy. GTO and exploit are just as valuable as each other. However, performing a strategy which is correct theoretically, but also with some exploit deviations and adjustments, is unstoppable. And finally, enjoy the game. The game is fun. The game is stressful. But enjoy it. It's always going to be there. Give it a chance. So, that's all you have to do to become a winning poker player. How easy is that? Well, actually, no, it's fucking not. It's going to take absolutely ridiculous amounts of time. It's going to take so much work. The people who put the time and effort into this game to become winning players, and then the people who go above and beyond to win at the highest levels, are people who put so much work in. There are no such things as prodigies who just appear out of nowhere and just become death gods. There are people that get it, and people that get it quicker than others, but generally the people who win today, creative players, but also people who just put the time and effort into becoming those types of players. They don't just become them overnight. they study, they work hard, they put the time in. You know, that is the secret to being a winning player in today's games. None of these clickbait bullshit, 3 things to do and become a winning player. Oh, go and play Ace King in a certain way and you'll become a winner. Be a bit more aggressive. It's bollocks, mate. The whole thing in terms of becoming a winning player is all of this and tons more on top of it. Rant over. Please, thank you again. Thank you so much for everyone watching these videos. I promise the next one will be another Play and Explain. Please like, please comment, and please subscribe as always. And finally, if you want this list, so you're interested in this list, I'm giving it away completely free. All you have to do is join my Discord, drop me a message in the general tab, like and subscribe this video, and leave a comment. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you in the next one.